Hola estudiantes, espero estén muy bien. Este es el repaso de la lección número 3. La lección número 3 es la familia. So this is going to be the review for lesson number 3, which is talking about la familia, the family. So we have as our theme la familia, obviously relationships in your family. And we are going to learn how to talk about your family and your friends, how to describe people and things, and how to express possession. So this is the beginning of lesson 3, is page 77 in Portales 1, the e-companion. And if you want to go to the full vocabulary for this unit, it's going to be in page 114. So there you have. In your e-companion, remember you access this one through VHL Central. You have, members of the family, you have other people, other relationships like friendship and, boyfriend, girlfriend, that type of thing. Since we're talking about people, we're also talking about nationalities, some adjectives that you can use in there, professions, and some other verbs that are going to be useful to talk about people around us. So if you haven't done so, please go to page number 114 and review that vocabulary. And I always encourage you to go look at the flashcards as well provided in VHL Central and quiz yourself to know if you are doing well with this vocabulary of the unit. So we're going to move on to the grammar, and our first grammar point of this unit is talking about descriptive adjectives. So the adjectives are words that describe people, places, and things. So we also have these kind of adjectives in English, but you're going to see some differences now that are happening when we use descriptive adjectives in Spanish. So in the previous unit, we saw the difference between ser and estar, and both of those verbs mean to be, although they are used in different situations. So I mentioned before that ser is something that is related to a characteristic that is a little bit more permanent, and estar is something that we can consider temporary. So since we're describing people and we can say that this person, is tall, or this person is intelligent, those are characteristics that are long-lasting. Those are not temporary characteristics. So that's why ser is going to be the verb that we use when we want to describe people, because they are talking about temporary characteristics that don't change overnight, or that are hard to change throughout our lifetime. And like in here, we can talk about nationality, size, color, shape, personality, and appearance. Those are, if you want to think about those as permanent characteristics, that is going to help you remember that these are going to go along the verb ser. So, for example, if you want to say that you are a happy person, you can say yo soy feliz. But we're going to stop for some more examples a little bit later. Now we are going to talk about the adjectives and how to use those. So the main difference between English and Spanish is, as I mentioned, we also have these kind of adjectives in English, but they don't have to match the gender that we're talking about. So you can say intelligent, and you can use intelligent to describe a girl or to describe a boy. You can also say tall, and you are saying this for either a man or a woman, male or female. These don't change, but in Spanish we have to agree, we have to match the ending of those adjectives with the person that we're talking about. So for example, in here it says the descriptive adjectives agree in gender and or in number. So we're going to see as well what we're talking about with those specific terms. So when we say that we are going to agree in gender is that we say Juan es simpático, but we say Elena es simpática. We're talking about a guy and we're talking about a girl. So we have to make that different, we have to differentiate that with our adjective as well. Now, if we're talking about multiple people, ellos, that means they, ellos son simpáticos. So, Juan es simpático, Juan is nice. Elena es simpática, Elena is nice. And ellos son simpáticos, they are nice. So we're talking about singular over here and plural over here. Masculine, feminine, and masculine plural. So you have to pay attention to those situations. Now the most common is that we see the ending O, which is the masculine ending, and we're going to change that to an A, which is going to form the female or the feminine adjective. Okay, so for example, in here we're talking about el muchacho, the guy is tall, and the tall guys. Okay, altos, muchachos, muchacha, alta. So she's a girl, and we're going to use alta instead, and then we're going to talking about we're talking about a bunch of girls. So we have the plural form, which is altas. Okay, so beware of the endings because they are going to be specific to, you know, feminine or masculine, singular or plural. So we have some more examples in here. However, we have endings in E. So if you see a word or an adjective that ends in E, that means that the masculine and feminine are usually going to be the same. How do I know if I'm talking about a boy or a girl? Because of the context, okay? So I'm going to say in here, el chico inteligente, los chicos inteligentes. So we don't have to change that E to an A. So that is a second rule that we have to follow. La chica inteligente or las chicas inteligentes. In here, it doesn't have to change in gender, but it does have to change in number. We have plural and we have singular. Another situation is that we see the ending of a word in a consonant. If that is the case, sometimes we're going to use es at the end for the plural, okay? So that reminds me a little bit of that rule that we have in English where from bus we go to buses instead of buzz, because like if you want to use the plural of bus and then the singular is bus and the plural is going to be buses, so you're going to add es other than only adding an s, okay? So we're making a plural, but since we have a consonant at the end, we need something to make it sound right, so we add es in that plural. So singular, difícil, plural, difíciles, okay? And since this is shared between masculine and feminine, the same situation is going to happen in both cases. If you see the ending or, like trabajador, which means that man is hardworking, we have to change that to trabajadora to make that match with feminine. And if we are going to use that for plural, we are going to say trabajadores. Then we have the same situation again, that the ending is a consonant. So we're going to add es, and in here we're only going to add s because we change from trabajador to trabajadora. So the ending is not just a consonant anymore, it's a vowel that we have in there, so we don't have the issue. We only do the plural like we know, adding an s. So we can say el hombre trabajador, los hombres trabajadores, la mujer trabajadora, las mujeres trabajadoras. So I'm really hoping that you start recognizing patterns in here. So this is a table of some of the most common adjectives that we can use in Spanish. So you have in here alto or alta. But of course, we can also say altos for male, plural, altas for female, plural, antipático, antipática, bajo, baja, and of course, bajos, bajas as well. So we go through all of these and then we see that O going to A, but we also see the situation I said, like difícil, and that is going to be for male or female. But remember that for plural, we're going to say difíciles. Same thing with fácil. Fácil for male, for female. Fáciles for plural. Feo, fea, feos, feas. Okay, so I'm really hoping that you guys start seeing a pattern in here. Now we have those ones ending in E, which means that they are going to stay the same for masculine and feminine. However, you have to use the S for plural. Importante, importantes. Inteligente, inteligentes. Singular and plural. We have a few more in here, and these are just talking about nationality. So if you can see in here, we have alemán, alemana, argentino, canadiense. So I really suggest you to stop in here and look at this vocab. And please study these words. If you have any issues with that, please refer to our grammar explanation and to our vocabulary list, because they are going to give you very valuable practice. But you have in here the list of words that you have to be looking at for nationality. And then again, for the descriptive adjectives specifically talking about nationalities, something very similar is going to happen. If we have an O, that is going to change to A. So chino, and then for female Chinese, you have to say China. Mexicano for male Mexican, and female Mexican, mexicana. Okay? And then the same happening with the ending E, canadiense for female and male, and canadienses for plural. So you can see a pattern here. I really hope that you guys do. Just about the descriptive adjectives, the difference between the quantity adjectives are going to go before the noun, because the other adjectives that we were talking about usually go after the noun. So you can say un chico alto, a tall boy, okay? But alto goes after chico, un chico alto. In here, the case when we're talking about quantity adjectives, they are going to go in front of the noun. Hay muchos libros. There are many books. Hablo con dos turistas. I am talking to two tourists. So that in that situation, they will stay like we would use it in English, in front of the noun. Some other adjectives are irregular, just like in English we have, good and then better. We don't say gooder, or we don't say goodest. We say good, better, and the best, bad, worse, and the worst. So something similar is happening in here. So from bueno and malo, this can change a little bit. They don't quite follow the rule. And then bueno is going to go to buen. Malo is going to go to mal. And sometimes when you want to compare, we don't have it here, we're going to say mejor, or we're going to say peor. So we're going to say bueno and mejor, good and better, malo and peor, bad and worse. And we have a few more examples in here, so please look at those carefully.